Fine carts, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Jacob Weil too.
And welcome to the recap podcast for DuckTales Season 2, Episode 20. That's right, it is the Golden Armory of Cornelius Coot. Coot.
Coot. Pink Pearl's
Coot.
right. Pink Pearl's right. That is fun to say.
It's fun to say. Coot. You know what else is fun to say, Jacob?
What?
Oh god. Oh shoot. Dragon's gonna kill me for not remembering this right off the bat. There's a freakazoid thing that's ah. I'm like totally bailing on this freakazoid reference, man.
It's all
There's like a freakazoid joke about like, hey, this word's really fun to say. It's a really random word that's fun to say. What is god damn it. Now I feel really embarrassed now. I'm sorry.
I'll try finding it.
Freakazoid. Man, on that note, that was a fumble. So yeah, the Golden Armory of Cornelius Coot.
Yep.
I think it's something like fun like Hugby. That's right. That's it. That's it, Jacob. Hugby.
Hugby.
You know what word is really fun to say, Cosgrove? What's that, freakazoid? Hugby.
Jeez.
All right.
That is fun to say.
Anyways, that was like way too far of a stretch to go for a freaking freakazoid joke. All right.
All right.
Okay, so the Golden Armory of Cornelius Coot. If last episode was a Lena episode, then this episode is definitely a Webby episode. And I gotta say, Jacob, you know what? I think season 2 has been a lot better about not putting Webby at the forefront all the time, like she was in season 1.
Well,
You know, and
to be fair, most of that was just because of the airing schedule.
no, I mean you're right. You're right about that. But I'm just saying, in general, even with the airing schedule, like I just feel like there's been less Webby episodes. Just the volume of Webby episodes, even if they're not in a row, has been less than it was in season 1.
Fair enough.
And so honestly, when we get Webby episodes, I feel like I appreciate them a little bit more.
Fair
And
enough.
so this episode, I'm not in love with this episode, but I thought it was solid enough. And one of the things that I really appreciated about it was how the A story and the B story literally crash into each other.
Yep. And even has a bit of nice subversion of expectations in a way.
It does. It does. Um, I don't know, Jacob. Here's one thing, and this is kind of like one of the things that I don't want to say it holds the episode back for me, but I will say it's like one of the reasons why I don't have a ton to say about it is that, Margot Martindale, she's great as Ma Beagle, and the dynamic with the boys is fun. But I think that out of all the villains we have on this show, Ma Beagle is probably the most one note. And so when we have storylines with the Beagles as our central antagonist, I don't like. I definitely think it kind of paled in comparison to how we handled Magica in the last episode. You know what I mean? And don't
And
get
if
me wrong, not every episode has to be a Magica episode, but I just feel like the Beagle Boys, and I felt this in the original show as well, that the Beagle Boys were always kind of like the least substantial villains in the show.
I think they're always just meant to be like these villains that just basically do what they can to
Just bumbling idiots, essentially.
pretty much.
Yeah, I hear you. Like I said, it doesn't drag the episode down, but it's kind of like a reason why I'm not as fond of this episode as I was the last episode. But I mean, what do you think of the historical side of this episode? Kind of like the roots of Duckburg.
And that was a pretty interesting take on it. I mean, I'm not. I'm. It's a shame that I'm not really as familiar with the comics as some other people are, but what I can tell, it's like it seems like relatively accurate to it, and I can't tell about the whole twist at the end, how that relates to anything. But I mean, it was pretty interesting even in this show, looking at the history of Duckburg, like even before Scrooge became a driving force.
You know what it kind of reminded me of, Jacob? I don't know if you're a Simpsons fan, but it reminded me of Jebediah Springfield from The Simpsons.
Yeah, I mean, I know of Jebediah Springfield.
Yeah, yeah, just of course the statue is a big part of why it reminds me of that, but like just regardless, I just kind of like the town's kind of like mythology. I thought that was a cool thing to do. Also we kind of have like the old Duckburg, like the kind of like the old West mining town. Kind of gets me in a little bit of a knots mood, if I do say so myself.
I'm surprised there isn't like a major theme park in Duckburg.
Yet that we've seen, I would
Oh,
not be surprised if we go to one at some point.
fair enough. And
All right.
I mean, Scrooge like literally owns like over half the town, if not the entire place. I mean, I'm sure he'd allow one if he knew, like, oh, it could make me more money. Anyway,
Make a Disney theme park in Duckburg. Yeah, that'd be cool if they had like a parody of Disneyland or something. I could see that. But theme it to Scrooge. Oh my god, yes. Please.
McDuckland, or would Scrooge Land be better?
Just like the castle would just be like a giant dollar sign.
Or just no, like the partner's bill would be him holding a dollar bill, and
Yes, yes.
the dollar and the castle would be his money, but like a faux money bin.
Okay, Pink Pearl, she jokes about Lester's possum farm from a Goofy movie, but Pink Pearl, that is the stuff of nightmares, and you know what I would love them to do, Jacob? I would love them to do a holiday overlay of the Country Bear Jamboree to Lester's possum farm, but only for Halloween.
That'd be great.
Because Lester's possum farm, I think, is genuinely disturbing. I
Yeah,
honestly think that shit is genuinely more disturbing than anything in Five Nights at Freddy's.
even especially those hats.
And
I always used
especially
to,
that little girl, man, the little girl with the braces.
yeah, I used to fast forward past that when I watched it when I was younger.
I can't say I blame you.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of nightmare fuel, look, spiders.
Spiders. Spiders.
Yes,
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong, Jacob. Spiders are absolute nightmare fuel to be sure.
especially especially these huge ones.
Oh God, I mean,
I mean, I'm not
and
even a.
I can echo Louis' sentiment of like legs. Why are there so many legs,
I mean,
Louis?
I'm
That's
not even.
exactly why I hate spiders.
I mean, I'm not. I don't exactly hate spiders. I'm really or really that too afraid of them. But it's just like I don't. I still don't want one crawling all over me, and just the thought of them crawling over me is like.
Pink Pearl, spiders get a bad rap because anything that has more than four limbs is unnatural. Not not unnatural in the laws of nature, but just unnatural from an aesthetic point of view in my eyes. That goes for like centipedes and caterpillars and anything with like an unnatural amount of arms. It just something about that gives me the creeps, Jacob.
But
Just
yeah,
all those moving parts all at once.
yeah. The thing is, like the spiders are just more like an obstacle in this episode, and they really don't do much
Mhm.
except like provide big time his means to prove himself.
Now, didn't we go through a similar arc with Big Time
I don't
in an
recall.
earlier episode?
I don't recall.
I feel like we've been through a similar arc with maybe not Big Time, but maybe another Beagle Boy, like wanting to prove himself and have his moment in the sun with Ma.
I think there was that magician one
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, yeah.
in the Duckworth Ghost episode, and we had to work in Duckworth's Ghost somewhere.
Uh-huh. Oh, God.
Anyway,
Unnatural horror upon horror that is Duckworth's Ghost. Jacob, they need to theme a not scary farm maze to Duckworth's Ghost.
yes, these
Like,
spiders.
screw a Disney maze, because Duckworth's Ghost is too terrifying for Disney.
Even these spiders aren't as terrifying as Duckworth's
A
ghost.
spiders.
Even they're not as terrifying as Duckworth's ghost. Anyway,
I mean, I think my soul is just dead on the inside ever since I saw Duckworth's Ghost. What can I tell you?
pretty much. We barely talked about the episode at all.
Pink Pearl says, Pink Pearl, I think, kind of confirms that, yeah, Big Time did want to prove himself a couple times. I don't know. This is kind of speaking to, like, one of my issues with the Beagles. It's just that there's really only so many stories you can tell with the Beagles, and them wanting to prove themselves to Ma is pretty much the mainstay one.
I think this is the most in depth we've gotten for that much, though.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, but I still don't.
At least it's the one that tried to draw the most pathos.
Sure.
I mean, and still we get excellent work from Eric Bauza as usual.
We do. I can't take that away from the man.
Who, mind you, voices every single Beagle there is.
Of course.
So yeah, and you can't even tell it's the same guy, which impressive, man, impressive. I mean, seriously, I mean, you can't even
Eric
tell.
Bauza is like quickly turning into like the new Corey Burden in terms of like he's just an impression mastermind.
Almost kind of like a Mel Blanc too.
I could see that. I think Mel Blanc is actually a better analogy than Corey Burden.
Considering I think he's actually the voice of Bugs Bunny in the new upcoming Looney Tunes cartoons.
Uh-huh.
So
Have you seen any of those, by the way?
Other than the one that they released on YouTube, no, that Dynamite one.
Uh-huh. I haven't even seen that one.
So I was like, I don't think they've released any more since then. And that
Uh-huh.
that was just released for like Annecy or something.
Right.
Anyway, I think we might be able to get more out of the B plot.
I think weirdly this is one of the episodes where I think that's the case. So yeah, Launchpad and Della get like their first big, like they've had screen time together, but this is their first episode where they're really paired together.
Yeah, I mean,
Jacob, I honestly think it's adorable.
Yeah, we've kind of seen them like interact where like Della's talking about my plane, but that was about it.
Yeah.
But this we actually get to see like they're basically two parents arguing over a child almost.
And the
But it's like
child just happens to be a plane, of
yes,
course.
like the proper ways to take care of a plane.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this moment has some real pathos to it because we get we get the whole like launch pad. It's like I don't mean to be mean to you, but like I don't want you anywhere near my plane. And that's kind of like it is
It is valid.
it's valid, but it's harsh.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's kind of true. I mean, he does crash that plane on a regular basis, and she has some kind of emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even though she, abandoned it and her kids for several odd years. So, anyway, moving on.
I'm I don't know any memorable highlights of that interaction with them.
Mainly near the end, where when they were trying to do the letter and it started smoking. Like it turned out the gum actually, like a lot better, really, the gum actually did have a good use beyond fixing the plane itself, like
Uh-huh.
venting the smoke. Like it's like it doesn't always look like it, but he occasionally does have some moments of brilliance.
And I did genuinely like the whole, Della's realization of how unfair she was being to Launchpad.
Yeah, through her interactions with Webby and all that, it's like she's like, oh wow, like that's like trying to give Webby your pep talk. She's like, oh wow, I really need to apologize to Launchpad.
And Jacob, legitimately, this is one thing I have to say is that this episode is a pretty damn good Della episode.
It is really. It's like it sheds, but it's like gives her more like through like the interactions with Webby and Launchpad. It gives basically gives a lot of insight to how she operates.
Uh
Pink Pearl says Launchpad is an idiot savant.
yes, yes, yes. That's a perfect way to phrase it. Honestly, I love that.
Like he has moments of brilliance, but very few and far,
Right. That's
few and far.
perfect.
He's smart. It just takes a while for it to get there. Anyway, so it's like yeah, like the whole. I don't know if the whole gum thing is actually accurate. I don't know how that would work in reality, but
I mean, it's a cartoon. I don't really care if it's that accurate.
I mean, I don't really care either. But I mean, these shows do use some basis in reality for sometimes how those things work.
Sure, sure.
I mean, people do use gum to fix things, so I don't really know how that would work. But I
If
mean,
Dragon's watching, to quote the great Katie Mary Garland, gumshoe. I'm sorry, a little just giglet inside joke there, Dragon. Gumshoe.
nice. Anyway, then as you mentioned, I like how the plot centers like Launchpad manages to happens to crash right where the Beagles are.
That's honestly my favorite part of the whole episode. I mean, it's a pretty cheap way to get me to like how the storylines intersect with each other, but what can I say? It's effective.
Yep, and it makes sense.
It does. It does.
I
All
mean, honestly,
right.
pardon the pun, but there's not a lot to mine out of this episode anymore.
Well, I mean, I already kind of like warned you guys about that. Like, I really don't think there's that much to talk about in here. Um, I mean, I will say this much. I do think that this episode and last episode were both technically ensemble episodes, and I do think last episode does a better job with the ensemble than this one does. Would you agree?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, more. I think
Because
more.
I feel like this episode, most of the characters that are there are really just kind of there.
I mean, even they. I mean, for the most part, they even acknowledge like how kind of like meh a lot of male a lot of it is,
Hmm.
and even then
Well,
it doesn't
yeah,
really.
that's true. Corn.
Yes, and then it turns to the whole popcorn thing, which I admit is pretty clever.
Do you want to explain the Coot part of the episode, Jacob? Because Pink Pearl is asking about that.
Did his ghost?
His ghost didn't show up. No, that would be even more terrifying than Duckworth's ghost, I imagine.
And that'll be hard to imagine something more terrifying than Duckworth's ghost.
But Jacob, do you want to explain the history of Coot?
Well, what I believe happened was like what Coot did was like no, at least the way the legend goes is the Beagle boy, the Beagles, the old Beagles were like trying to steal his golden arm, the fabled golden armory of Cornelius Coot, of his golden armory, and he like his gun. They said his gunfire was coming from everywhere, driving them off, like pretty much like cementing him as like a one man army, like he was everywhere.
Uh huh.
But as it turned out, it was had a huge artillery of popcorn. Using these special devices, he lit up a bunch of corn, basically make it sound like basically an entire armory was everywhere.
Uh huh.
So I was like, someone. So basically, his armory and his army was a bunch of corn. He drew away the beagles with popcorn.
That was very clever, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like he wasn't he wasn't a soldier. He was a strategist,
Uh huh.
basically using his wits and intelligence to drive the beagles away. Let's face it, the beagles aren't exactly intelligent to begin with.
Nah, yeah, intelligence is definitely not their strong suit, to be sure.
So using popcorn as like a means to convince them of like a bunch of guns and explosions is actually quite ingenious.
Hey Jacob, I have a question for you.
Yes,
Do you like the circus?
yes.
Do you like all the food at the circus? All the popcorn and hot dogs and cotton candy.
Sure, why not?
My favorite is the popcorn, Jacob, because it goes pop, 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 pop. All right, I'm doing my best Pennywise here.
Is that from chapter 2?
No, it's from chapter 1. It's from the Georgie scene.
Oh, I can't remember. I haven't seen that movie since it came out.
I like popcorn, Georgie, because it goes pop, 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 pop.
You'll float too.
And they'll all float on, all right, already. They'll all float on. Okay.
And
Pink
also,
Pearl. I
also,
am in agreement with Pink Pearl about the carnival food. I
it's
love carnival food. Pink Pearl. Pink Pearl. Carnival food is the best.
overpriced but worth it.
Pink Pearl, if you ever get a chance to visit the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, they have some of the best carnival food on the planet. You can basically get deep fried everything there. Deep fried Oreos, deep fried Twinkies. I mean, it's a smorgasbord.
Never actually had deep fried Oreos.
Oh my god, they're amazing. All right, so Jacob, we actually managed to squeeze this out to 22 minutes. I'm rather proud of ourselves.
And half of it probably wasn't even talking about the episode itself.
I'm sure, but you know what? We did it. We did it. I think we can pat ourselves on the back.
Yes.
Pink Pearl, is there anything else you want us to talk about with this episode? Just let us know, or else we'll go ahead and wrap up here. Let's see now, Jacob. Do you have the next episode? Next episode comes out tomorrow or Tuesday?
I believe probably Tuesday because they're doing 4
Because the
days.
last episode's is Friday, right?
Yeah, because they do it on a basis of 4, so
Right.
most likely Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday because today, well, right now right now where I am. It's actually no, it is today. It's Monday actually.
Well, it's Monday on the East Coast. It's still Sunday on the West Coast,
So
technically,
so
for another few hours.
it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh,
Next,
okay.
so the next episodes are Typhoon, Glomtails,
Oh my god, yes.
The Richest Duck in the World, and Moonvasion.
Moonvasion is the finale.
Yep.
Wait, what is a Bubba episode, Pink Pearl? The next one?
What do you mean?
Pink Pearl says it's a Bubba episode. I assume the next one is a Bubba episode.
Typhoon?
I assume that is the Bubba episode.
Wait, is a Bubba episode this season?
According to Pink Pearl.
I mean, I know he's listed for
Yeah,
season.
she says tomorrow. She says tomorrow, yeah.
I mean, I know she was listed. I know he was listed for season 3, but I didn't know anything about this season.
Okay, just to set the stage here with Bubba, I think Bubba Duck is hands down maybe the worst thing about the original DuckTales. And seeing them embrace Bubba Duck, like having him be like this badass, like Bart Simpson when he was cool skateboarder '90s kid archetype. I I can't wait to see that, Jacob. It's cheesy as hell. It's totally tongue in cheek and self referential, and I can't wait.
I can't wait to see it myself. I mean, I mean, at least we got Gizmo Duck already.
Yes, we'll see how that goes.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, Pink Pearl, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks to anyone who's watching this in the archives. Guys, Dragon and I have a pretty full slate over the next couple days. So I think what we're going to do is, Jacob, I think we're going to cover the first two new episodes of next week, Time Foon and Glom Tales, on Wednesday. And then we will proceed to cover Wednesday and Thursday's episode as they come out. Like maybe Thursday and Friday, we'll cover the second to last episode and the finale.
Alrighty. So,
all right.
So Monday and Tuesday's episodes on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. And
Okay.
tomorrow, guys, just to hype it up, we're going to be doing for the 20th anniversary a Tarzan retrospective.
Woohoo!
Come stop your crying; it'll be all right. Just take my hand, hold it tight. Yeah.
Woohoo!
Very excited to rewatch that, actually. I haven't revisited that movie in a good 10, 15 years or so. So it's been about half my life at this point since I've revisited that movie. So I'm pretty excited about it. I remember having a lot of fondness for the movie, so I'm interested to see how much that fondness holds up.
Should be interesting.
Yeah. So thank you guys. Are you going to talk about the Tarzan toys? I don't have any sort of memory of the Tarzan toys, but if anyone will have memories of the Tarzan toys, Pink Pearl, it will be Dragon. So I will ask Dragon about the Tarzan toys before we go on. And we shall see. We shall see if he has any memories of that.
Yep.
All right. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And yeah, till next time. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Legs! So many legs!
We're gonna
My
crash.
legs!